out last year were indirectly battling for the top spot in the league. And we know at their very best, both of these teams are super deadly. The Knights, unfortunately, unable to show their prowess on the international stage because they couldn't go to the major that they did qualify for last year. Elevate, though, showed glimpses of brilliance at Six Invitational, and they'll be looking to carry that form here into the major on their path to reaching the next Six Invitational. Obviously, the upper bracket for Elevate didn't go very well, but here's the opportunity to bounce back and make a statement.
Yeah, you definitely need to be making a statement if you're Elevate. However, Knights had the opportunity to go to the major. It was the Mexico major, in fact, for stage 2 of last year. They finished first in APAC South, but unfortunately, due to travel restrictions, they were unable to make it. And now with the new roster, 40% in fact new. We got Quiz and Stigs joining from what was a wonderful Dino and Haywood. We still miss them. I do miss seeing Dino's face cam. He was a bit of an interesting character. But the Knights are regrouping, and here's the scary thing. If the Knights continue on the trend that we saw them early in 2021, I actually think that we could potentially be talking about Knights at the end of stage 2 into stage 3 being one of the most competitive teams we have in APAC.
Yeah, for sure. And no doubt it was a little bit of a shaky start to the stage for them, but you could probably link that to the fact that they have made roster changes, so relatively expected. Towards the back end, though, Knights looked really strong. They obviously did lose to Darbles, who had that perfect run, but outside of that, you know, they took down IG. That was huge. They took down the Chiefs. They took down Fury and Renatus to really kick-start some momentum heading in towards the playoffs. So the Knights, whilst they may not have looked ultra dangerous, particularly against Elevate, funnily enough, outside of that, especially at the back end, they made a really good run.
Well, here's what I'm going to find interesting. Is it Elevate the Knights struggle with, or was it just, you know, the honeymoon period? Well, actually, it's the opposite of the honeymoon period. It's teething issues that they had at the start of the stage. Things looking much better. I could easily talk about all these players for way too long. We've been watching them play for far too long. And so too have Elevate. They have been really on the tips of our tongues all throughout 2021. And into 2022, they really kick-started with a strong performance at SI. I think they shocked a lot of people. There was a huge discussion around them last year. What are they like when things come push to shove? How good are they in these scenarios where there's a major opportunity on the line? They've got to run through the lower bracket. And the answer was in 2021, guys, it wasn't great.
Yeah, heading into stage 1 though of 22 wasn't bad. Relatively mixed bag of results, but they did enough to get across the line, get into the top 4. Not only that, they had Cyclops last week. Unfortunately though, that's kind of the end of the road for them, at least on that storyline. They got absolutely wiped out of the service. Cyclops just toying with their prey, really. A relatively easy 2-0 for Cyclops, who went on to go to the major. Now Elevate, backs against the wall, under pressure. How are they going to perform again with these new additions of Mr. Punch and Mark? This is the first time. Obviously, Cyclops have been a high-pressure situation, but this is tenfold, right? No second chances.
No, and really, it does concern me because if I remember back to 21, you're talking about 8 opportunities to head to an international land, to finish in that position where they were going to be able to travel over and do some damage, well, what we hoped they could do some damage, and they just kept slipping. But really, for today, for tomorrow, for the rest of the playoffs here in stage 1, I need to see them step up. I need to see, you know, the likes of Onigiri not doing as much as what we may have seen throughout the regular stage, because he has been a pretty nutty player overall.
And the stats back that up, right? Plus 17 on the KD, 1.16 rating, so he's right up there in the league. I would love to see a stat to see, though, what's the consistency of that like? Because anecdotally, just off the top of my head, not backed by statistics, it does feel like sometimes it can be a little bit hot and cold, and often Onigiri is really the gauge for how the team's going. If Onigiri's playing well, you can normally hedge your bets that the team's going to be performing quite nicely, but then there's days where Onigiri's off. Sometimes the rest of the team falters off. Obviously, it's a bit of a paradox that goes kind of hand in hand, right? If the team's not supporting Onigiri, then he can't support them, etc. But I'm keen to see how he performs again, because he often is that gauge for Elevate.
Kind of feels like the Vinny situation for Wildcard. I feel like both of those players are on very similar realms, but I mean, that's just a team that's not even here and not even worth discussing at this point. What is worth discussing is the vetoes. We need to have a look at where we're headed. Believe we... Theme Park. That's what I want to see. Knights pick into Theme Park in their first playoffs appearance. Actually, is it their... I think it may well be their first playoffs appearance since stage 1 of last year. Holy smokes.
Bit of a throwback. And in terms of throwback, I mean, Theme Park.
Yeah.
basically non-existent in APAC South. Teams did not want to dabble in it. Obviously, neither of these two teams did. So heading in, we have a lot of zeros in the data columns of Dev's spreadsheet, so we have no real expectation as to whether or not these teams have necessarily improved on this map as of recent. So a big gamble from the Knights to head to that map. After that, we go to Oregon, historically super strong for Elevate. So you would almost certainly lock that in for a win. Then we head to Villa. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting because you look at the numbers historically, and Elevate once more quite strong on this map, but they did lose out to Cyclops. So they're going to retest those waters here against the Knights.
When I'm looking at the Knights, I'm looking to their attacks that seem to be one of their downfalls, or at least have been in stage one. Talk about theme park. It's going to be really hard to kind of decipher what happens in theme park because, as you said, no stats whatsoever. We don't really have an indication. Maybe we could look all the way back when it was actually in the map pool. One of these teams might have played it, but that's so irrelevant that it's not even funny. I think that the attacks on Oregon and Villa, there are a lot of those checkmark games that we talk about a lot. You know, Oregon, Villa, and Clubhouse seem to have very methodical, okay, we need to open this wall, then we need to shove this. You know, we've got to try and clear these positions. So I really want to look to the Knights, especially when we get to Oregon. I mean, I'm jumping ahead quite far here, but I really want to see them tighten that ship up. And I said ship with a P just to make sure for everyone.
You really looked me in the eyes when you said that. You were trying to get a reaction.
I thought maybe.
But you're certainly right. I think the first map is going to give us a really good gauge on those fundamentals. And I know it's a bit of a hot word and probably overused a little bit, but on theme park, right, as you mentioned, you need to be really methodical step by step by step. With attacker repick in the mix, that's the big difference from when these teams last played theme park. So I'm super excited to see if the Knights can really utilize that really powerful tool in the toolkit and try and build some momentum in this series, because again, it's very tricky to see Elevate falter on that second map. So if the Knights don't win the first, start to get a little bit concerned for them.
You're scaring me. You're scaring me a little bit. There's a gamble being taken by the Knights. They are going to theme park for the first map of their best of three, and of course the first map of their playoffs campaign. To run you through all of the action, let's bring back in Dev and Mandy, or B1 and Apple. I think there's an apple and a banana. Which one? You know?
Come on, it's APAC colors. Look, you got the orange, orangey red. You got the yellow. It was totally coordinated. It was
of course,
definitely not a coincidence. But yeah, thanks guys. Look, this is an APAC South derby. This should be a fantastic game. We've seen these teams play each other so many times, but now elimination is on the line.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to go to theme park as the first map. We were just saying in the pre-show while we were off comms here that, oh my gosh, I really want to see theme park. It's going to be so much fun.
And we get to. It's been a long time since we've seen theme park in the map pool, and we didn't get a lot of it in APAC South. And I am still unsure exactly how it's going to play out, especially knowing these teams. But what we know for sure is that they bring the heat. Elevate. Oh, they have made a name for themselves over the years, especially at the Six Invitational. The Knights, while they did qualify for the Six Major Mexico last August, they were unable to attend due to travel restrictions. They have been gunning ever since for another shot at a Six Major. They have it before them. They got to win this game to get even a leg of a chance to get into it.
Elevate looking to return to their form at the international stage, and Knights looking to prove themselves once more for this year. We head to theme park now, and the social vote going 60% to Elevate. So you're all out there on the Twitch chat thinking that Elevate's going to bring this one home. So Thatcher comes out first as the ban for Elevate.
A classic one on this map. Hard Breach is very much a big part of theme park, particularly on that basement where you've got three massive walls. Elevate banning out the Finker, as they are wont to do. It is their most banned operator. More than half of their games, they ban Finker. They just don't like it.
I feel like it's a fair enough ban. Finker has come into the meta quite a lot. She brings along another set of nades and a Gon 6 as well, so it forces the attackers to have to search for other avenues of things that might clear shields, explosives, that type of thing, right? So Finker, a very prevalent ban here in APAC, followed up with Valkyrie as well. So yeah, Valkyrie, another info gathering operator as well. We don't see, I guess, much Valk on theme park. I don't really know how she'll play into this map anyway, but she is gone for this particular matchup, followed by Mira. Mira, I feel like we see a lot of strategy on theme park, so this is an interesting ban.
Yeah, it does leave, well, not necessarily a lot on the board in terms of really specific operators that you'd think of when you think of this map, but it does leave Jackal on the table. with Jackal not necessarily being a highly banned operator in comp, but just how much roam clearing comes into play on this map, I could certainly see that being a boon for Elevate. If any of these roamers from the Knights are looking to play in rat positions, it's going to be very difficult to do so. Typically on this bomb site downstairs in Throne and Armory, you want to clear as much of the map as possible. In the early round, you want to take top floor, and you want to be making sure to get rid of any players on site through the vertical potential. But then, of course, in the late round, it's that drug control that comes into play if you're looking for that yellow wall execute.
So I suppose that's the synthesis of the vertical play and the Jackal, as you said, coming on the board here. We see Sapper immediately picking onto it, and Mr. Punch actually finding the re-pick onto Sledge there instead of Carly. So it would indicate just what you've said, Dev. They will be looking for that top floor control. They will be looking to utilize that vertical as much as possible. On the other hand, the Knights, they do look like they're going for an extended roam. A rotate hole going into office as well with 2 walls reared into it. So the attack, they will have some defense to face up here on the top floor.
Let's see how the roam works out. Keen for that Lion Jackal combo is not fun. You're getting Lion pinged, you want to move. You're getting you're getting Jackal pinged, you want to move. You're getting Lion. Oh, it's a rush. Look at that. They're just going straight on inside. Sapper is the first in the building. Juicy caught with his pants down. There's a rotate hole into barrels, but the Knights have managed to maintain a man advantage and extending that now as Elevate try to harness this bomb site control with just 2 players left and attempted a retake from the Knights. Trying to swing on through. Stiggs takes out his teammate before taking down DCH, meaning it's just Sapper in the 1 versus 3. A whole minute left, make it a 1-on-2. Very, very winnable. That's what we call this one. Caught in the Banshee, shoots it out. A smoke out to bait out the position, the line of sight denied. He's got the 2x for this narrow angle, but Quiz and Stiggs playing it smart. Stiggs as well using the disruptor on the ER7 from Vigil to make it so his position not known to that drone. Sapper revealed on the camera. He's got to take these 1v1s, but I don't think Knights wants to let them be 1v1s. They're holding a really nice crossfire. Sapper has to play this flawlessly, but Quiz, the rookie on the roster, he steps up and a fantastic counter rush comes to play from the Knights.
An excellent retake there from the Knights. They could have capitulated under the pressure. As I said, the rush did come through 30 seconds into the round. That is an extremely explosive start to this map from Elevate, trying to catch Knights off guard, but the retake just too good, even though the team kill did come out. Small flaws, but in the end, the 2 versus 1 situation working out for the Knights. Now they can go over to Bunk and Daycare, so one of the top floor sites. It seems to be actually the preferred of the top floor sites as well, Bunk and Daycare over Initiation Office. Not sure as to why, but hopefully Knights can show us in this round.
I mean, it's exciting to see that Knights, even when they are met with an unpredictable strategy, that rush, they can still recompose. Because even if you think about it, Elevate found the opening pick there. So Knights, credit to them for not only managing to retake the bomb site, to recompose after losing the opening pick, to counter that rush. I mean, it was beautiful. Quiz also, a player that we talked a lot about at the start of the season. He's a rookie on Knights. He'd never even played at a national level. He played for the old Fury team, now called Ground Zero, and qualified for OCN, that's the Nationals in Oceania, after playing Oceanic Challenger League. Now he won that twice, and now he immediately skipped up an entire tier into APAC South, and he had a bit of a rough start, to be honest. Like, we weren't really sure what to think about Quiz. It's great to see that in these big pressure games, he's feeling confident.
I think Quiz is a big story here on the Knights, right? He had a very slow start to the season, but eventually was able to come into form. Stiggs has actually just found the first pick from a spawn peak onto Onigiri, so that's already a dent in the attack for Elevate. But yeah, going back to Quiz, we really wanted to see something from him at the start of the season. We were worried for him even, and recently he's come into a lot of form. In the last interview that we did with him, he talks a lot about how the team has reshuffled and made him feel a lot more comfortable in the team, so I'm excited to see him in these playoffs. I want to see what he can bring. Now, Elevate down 1 on the man count.
Yeah, another good early pick from the Knights. In fact, Knights have been really strong in APAC South in terms of opening kills. 2 out of the top 5 players in opening kills in the entire of APAC South League are from the Knights. Stiggs as the best player in the league with opening KD.
Elevate now looking to start taking cafe control. Seems like they've switched up their attack with that spawn peak coming out. All of their players now reconvening over on the other side of the map. Now starting to drown out cafe and not met by much contention from the Knights.
Good information from the Yana Gemini of Mr. Punch. There are rookies on both sides. Now Juicy just tries to hold on. It looks like Elevate is eager to try something a bit sneaky again. We've seen the rush in the first round. Could it be a hot drop from Sapper?
Stigs, Juicy, and Josh now queued into this push, with Stigs making sure he's holding the back, actually, so there's no rush from that side. But Elevate, like you said, they look to be shaping up for a hatch drop. They look to all start to play this entry into the building at the same time. Sapper now hopping on a drone as well, trying to find out some more intel. Where are these anchors holding? Still 5 players up for the Knights, and only 55 seconds left to go. No walls have been opened yet with those exothermic charges from Elevate too, so it's very difficult to see what they're trying to go for in this round.
And as that time ticks away, it makes you a little bit nervous watching Elevate. They're going to have to erupt, and they're going to have to win a lot of these opening fights, but that does not happen. Juicy for 2. And now it's a 5v2 now, as Elevate start to recompose, get 1 back, but Juicy's in such a pivotal position, loses the fight. And now Elevate might just have a chance. 20 seconds though as that timer ticks on down, and Mark falls as well. It's only Mr. Punch, and he's got just about no HP to work with, desperately trying to tangle the ARX in these long lines of sight, but Knights are playing the crossfires perfectly. Quiz again. The name is on our lips as he closes the round, and that's 2 back-to-back defenses for Knights.
Elevate just seeming to run out of time, not being decisive on that push. That spawn peak that happened in the early game really seemed to put a dent into that attack. They originally wanted to go for a cache-sided push, and then they thought, okay, we don't have the man count for this. The Knights, they're defending this side of the map too much, let's rotate over. But eventually, not having enough time to open up any walls, not having enough time to play any crossfires, get on the break room rappel, for example, to look for the trade pick back onto the Knights. So Knights able to sit pretty in the site, and eventually able to win out the round in the late game.
And now that's pushed Nice to a 3rd bomb site here. Initiation office. I'm curious, like we said, we haven't seen a lot of Theme Park since the new meta, since it's been reintroduced to the pool. And back in the day when Theme Park, in this iteration, was in the competitive pool, we were in a very different meta. It was Jaeger, Umai, and Goyo at their peak. It was all about that util sync. And now, you know, we're seeing an operator which very well could have been present at that time, but only 1 shield. Jaeger and Wamai do make an appearance, but I'm curious, is this going to be like heavy roam extension? Where is most of the action going to go down?
Well, something I think is curious about this particular setup is that it's essentially the exact same setup as the previous round, but all of the utility has been flipped around. So the same 2 rotate holes, one in the office wall, one in initiation, has been redone by the defenders, for example. The same rotate hole here in the top arcade where Juicy was playing his power position on the little train, that's been done as well. So same power position set up here for the Knights, just a different bomb site. So the shields, they flipped around the other way, for example. So I don't really see too much difference here on this particular defense. We'll just have to see if Elevate don't lose out on the early round and can find the entry pick first to get into the building.
Especially when Onigiri starts the game 0-2. Not ideal for the star fragger of Elevate, and one of the star fraggers of the whole region in APAC. Certainly has made a name for himself on many occasions, particularly at 6 Invitational, where he broke the single map 6 Invitational kill record. Certainly not on track to break any records in this game, as Knights seem to hold on to Top Dragon and ADS to protect Quiz. And this looks like a really staple setup. I quite like it.
I like this as well. This is directly contesting the entry point into Theme Park, right? Typically, when you go for this roam clear, you want to drop the control hatch. You want to go in through that cache door, and that means you need dragon control. So these 2 ADSs making a power position here for Quiz on this small balcony. Elevate, it seems like they've given up on this side of the map once again. Maybe the attack has rotated over to the cafe side again. See if they have a little bit more time to do this. Yep, it seems like they've all reconvened here again, but no defenders this time.
This is really late though, so you better hope that Elevate can make up a lot of time here. It looks like Knights have actually reinforced over the rotate hole that they had in bunks into initiation, that bomb site. I believe that shield also has been moved to repel against a different kind of attack. So that is really nice from the Knights, adjusting their util mid-round to adapt to the Elevate push.
The Knights seeming to be keyed into this attack. The shield now facing into the waiting double as well. Elevate, if they cannot get any of these walls open, which I believe they can't, there is a mute jammer on either wall, I believe. They will have to flood through this rotate, or they'll have to go through waiting double. So Elevate having to push into a very linear attack here. We can see now the double mute jammer even. So I think the Thermite's going to rotate into break. He's going to try and put the Thermite charge on the adjacent wall to get it, but it's even mute jammed on this side as well. So
wow.
Knights, they've really thought of absolutely everything in this defense. 30 seconds left to go and Elevate have to flood.
I mean, we might have never seen Knights play this map before, but there is no question they are ready for it. Onigiri sneaks into Vault and finds the opener, and an eruption of smokes gives an opportunity for Elevate, but they're going to have to punch on through the gas and take a chance here. They go down in the initial engagement. Sage gets the better remark, and now Onigiri on for the entry. He's found one from this position and looking for a whole lot more. Goes deep, looks for a plant position, can't find anywhere safe, and he goes down. Now it's all on Mr. Punch. No time whatsoever, and Knights can hold it out. Nice and easy. 3 rounds on the trot.
Oh wow, I'm so glad that we watched that from Onigiri's perspective. We saw one of the smokes from Juicy land literally on his feet. That is just perfect. Plant denial coming out from the Knights. They were so keyed into that attack. They knew exactly where to look, and the flurry of smokes actually kind of working both ways. Lots came out from the attack, but they still couldn't entry off them because of all that denial coming into the site. So well played from the Knights, and I really want to highlight the smoke there. Just did so much to flush out everything in office.
And now we go back downstairs, and I hazard a guess we're probably not going to see a rush from Elevate again. Surely not. You wouldn't want to try that a second time.
I feel in the current state of this game, you want to take it a little bit more carefully.
Momentum against you.
Yeah, momentum's not really swinging to your sides, and it's not the time to bring out a rush. So hopefully we see Elevate clear this map properly this time. Look for some of that vertical control. We actually see the switches here from Hibana to Thermite and onto the Floras as well as the Nomad. So it would indicate that they are looking for that entire map control, putting down those Nomad jabs, using the Jackal to take as much control as they can, reel in all of the defenders back onto the site again. And yeah, Knight's going for the same extension upstairs as well.
We do have an Amaru slipped into that lineup for Elevate. What is the go? Surely there's some early map control that Onigiri is keen to go for. When I see Amaru on this map, I'm usually thinking these break windows.
Here we go.
And there you go.
Oh.
Going for it.
He's thinking. Which window? Left or right?
Oh, blue pill or the red pill? A tease. Oh, whoa, that would be something else if he goes into barrels. Oh, no. Absolutely. I mean, what is the point in playing the rush operator if you don't rush? Get on in there, mate.
We're way too excited for Onigiri. I'm just saying. This is way too overhyped from us. Elevate now rotating over to the cache side of the map, looking to start the roam clear from that side instead. So Mr. Punch just hopping on the drones there for his teammate. And Onigiri, come on, stop teasing us like this.
I feel like at this point he may as well have just played another operator, sat on the roof, opened the hatch, and droned. I mean, I like the idea, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you're getting the most bang for buck out of Amaru here. My question is, how is Elevate's roam clear going to go? Because at this point, it looks like they're losing their drones early to just these pretty safe roamers.
Oh.
In goes Onigiri now. He might be able to make good on this. A player right on the other side of his wall, and Juicy finds the opener from inside of initiation. Onigiri trying to make an impact. He does get 2. All right. That's something. I'll take that one. It's suddenly a 4 versus 2 with a minute and a half for Elevate to get something done.
The Amaru actually working in favor of Onigiri there. Unexpected inside control. The player on top of Dragon probably didn't hear the hatch drop, right? So he just went, okay, there's an Amaru somewhere in here. I'm not sure when to swing yet, but yeah, eventually getting pinched out by the teammates pushing in from Cash as well. So a very good roam clear coming out from Elevate. Now they can start turning their attention towards the site. Juicy and Sage on left to pick up the pieces in this 2 versus 4.
Now a 1 versus 4 for poor Sage on site. It seemed to start pretty well, but things certainly flipped quickly. Unwinnable now, surely. 1. Didn't get any more. He's got some info. Oh, no, not happening. There you go. Elevate finally get their first round on the board after a bit of a precarious start on that roam clear.
Elevate, I liked what they did in that attack round because they really had one idea. The entire team was keyed into that idea and they committed to it. that was a big difference that we saw in this round to the previous 3 rounds before that. They seemed to be a little bit flip-flopping on their attack. They didn't know what they were going for, and eventually time just not on their side. This time, committing to an idea, committing to flushing out those power positions, flushing out that entry denial, and the setup that Knights had on the top of Dragon meant that Elevate was able to find those picks, and Knights just unable to make those trades work out in their favor for them. So well played from Elevate. I like to see the confidence from that attack.
We'll see if they can keep this momentum now that they've broken it. They've got 2 more rounds here to bring back on their attacking side. Now, in terms of stats on this map, we don't have any for APAC South. There was 0 plays. In APAC North, which admittedly neither of these teams are from, there were 3 plays and it was a 66% defensive win rate. Right. So that's very, very high defense win rate. In fact, a quick scroll, that is the highest defense win rate of any map in APAC North. So we should expect Knights to come away with a 4-2 here. If Elevate can find one of the next 2 rounds, that's probably a decent half from them.
This is true. I don't mind that. I feel like there's a pass mark here that Elevate have to meet, that there is a goal for them, and Knights, they don't seem to be changing their defense as well. Same strategy, more or less, same lineup as well, with all the rotations and utility in the same places. So I think the Elevate, they know what to see this time. They've seen it twice already. Not because they played the same site twice, but because these top 4 sites play out in such a similar way. Surely Elevate, they can start to key into this idea, start to counter-strat a little bit. We can see DCH now in with his Twitch drone, has actually just cleared out a little bit of utility on the top of Dragon. So, I take that back. He's below, actually, looking for something on the bottom inside Armory. It's actually an interesting point to maybe pinch out that Dragon as well, that power position that the Knights have playing. So Elevate, they are coming up with a few more ideas here to try and make quick work of this defensive setup.
And never underrate the value of a Twitch drone getting in there and taking out default cams in the early round. Things like that arcade camera, which we saw the Twitch destroy there with the laser. That's really useful for late round pushes and identifying if attackers are going to try and sneak up those arcade stairs or nade from below, and just in general, there's a lot of different avenues that you can cut off with that camera, and taking that down nice and early just keeps Knights guessing and forces them back into their shell. Let's see Elevate. We know they can win some attacks here, but last time on this site, it was a big struggle. They just funneled.
On the point of keeping Knights busy, this approach that Elevate have taken so far has been very much probing around all sides of the map. We did see Break Room repel there. DCH, he did get on Dragon, whereas all his teammates have now gone onto the cafe side of the map too. So the Knights, they're spread very thin. We saw in the overhead before, it was essentially 1 Knights player per room, per entry point, and there are 3 Elevate players ready to start trading each other out into cafe. So the Knights not as keyed into this attack as they were in the previous round.
C4 prepped. This is very cheeky. Oh, just landed on the windowsill. If Josh had managed to line that up perfectly, that would have been a huge impact kill. Would have been Sapper gone. Oh, here we go. You talked about this break room repel last round, didn't you?
Yeah, this is a very important point to be cutting off, because you can get a line of sight open from this wall. Actually, it's being reinforced by the defense, but sometimes you can open up this wall and it creates a very long line of sight into this yellow hallway, meaning that defenders, they can't rotate between the 2 halves of the map anymore. Elevate now starting to mount a push onto the cafe side of the map. They do have their thermite there, so they can open an entry point into the bomb site as well. 24 seconds left. Yeah. The execute has got to come out, but nothing's open.
Just look at the time. Elevate have to use this man advantage to their advantage, and they do manage to further it just slightly. Juicy comes up for 2 big kills, and now it is all on Stigs in the 1 versus 2. Down from a 1v3 out to a 1v1. Versing Mark. Now Stigs must land the shot. The Thermite playing in Cafe. 2x site to hold on to. Stigs has only died once in this map so far, but he does not have the information. No clue. Checking the corners though. He's going to have to play on game sense. He's going to have to bait it, and he does. It's 7 seconds to disable that diffuser, and he's only got 19 left to work with. He's giving it a crack. Mark now counting the ticks. Stigs does hold on, but Mark can deny it. Win out in the 1 versus 1 and string together a 2nd round for Elevate.
A big point that we were talking in that round was the break room repel. It did alter the Knights, I guess, focus in that round, right? They couldn't just have all of the Knights players playing a crossfire onto Cafe because they have to have someone watching their back. And Styx, he thought the push was going to come from Control side. He thought it might have come from Dragon side, something like that. And so no one was keyed into Onigiri swinging in for free into this break room. So well played from Elevate. They found the weakness in Knights' defense that round and were able to capitalize on it.
Bombs from being defused by attackers.
Really does feel like this game has been turned around now. A chance at Elevate exceeding expectations on their attacking side. Should they go 3-3? I mean, albeit we don't have a lot of information to go off, but as for those 3 games in APAC North, which yes, these teams are not from APAC North, but it's the closest thing we got, right, to work with. If Elevate can string together 3 rounds here, that would be something pretty strong for them, considering that this is Knights' map pick as well. It would definitely put that pressure on Knights, not only break the momentum losing 3 rounds in a row, but also make an attack comeback.
And I may be caster cursing them here, but on this defensive half, it doesn't feel like Knights dove very deep into the strat book here. A lot of these setups that we're seeing are very identical to the previous time that they attempted it. Even the top floor setup was identical between 2 bomb sites. So on this particular roam setup that they're doing into Armory, Elevate have already seen it. Knights, maybe they had to change their strategy a little bit. Maybe they had to start thinking, okay, Elevate, they have an idea of what we're doing. We need to start changing our power position. We need to start changing our starting positions, for example. But Elevate, I think they have started to key into the formula of this Knights defense, particularly in this final round of the attack.
Interestingly, Elevate are leading on opening engagements in this match so far with 3-2. We've seen a surprisingly low rate of conversion between the opening kill and the round win. Only twice has the team got the opening kill, won the round. But there's been a lot of trades, these early kills getting traded back, especially when those early kills, those opening kills, are actually happening in like the last 25 seconds of the round because of the way Elevate are leaving it so late.
I think the formula is working for Elevate as well, because the Knights, they sort of start to lose composure in that mid-round. Whenever we see Elevate take control, it doesn't seem like the Knights are actually aware of it happening. There's no intel for them to know. So now we see Elevate, they're starting to take control of the Gong side of the map. Mr. Punch has actually just found the first grenade kill onto Quiz as well. That is your mobile my player, and that is also, I believe, a set of impacts, unless he brought proxies. But that does mean that they can't impact track the... Oh no, they have Juicy on impacts as well. But yeah, anyway, that does take down the Wamai. So that's a lot of your late game discs. The smokes can go in, and yeah, here we go again. Elevate finding these precarious entry positions that the Knights, they just don't know about. They're not aware. They have no intel.
And the Twitch has certainly helped to take out a lot of this util. There were some proxy alarms, both of which got taken out by the Twitch drone. Yeah, I saw those before. And of course, also a lot of these default cameras inside the building are getting taken out thanks to that Twitch drone as well. Here comes a breach. Is the impact going to be on point for Juicy? It is. That's beautiful.
Mark will have to re-attempt this exothermic charge if he wants to go for it, and nade to follow up from Mr.
Oh no, that's
cooked a little bit too much. Mark goes, oh no, don't kill me with you as well. And he's trying to actually create a hole in the wall to place down his exothermic charge so it cannot be impact tricked. Ooh, will this work? Oh, but I think the mute jam has just come back up here.
This is not great for Elevate. They might have the man advantage, but if Juicy can impact this, it would mean everything, and he does. Now there's just 20 seconds left, and Elevate are going to have to funnel into 2 doorways onto that bomb site. They're going to have to use this man advantage that they have managed to establish for themselves and explode onto the site. But there are the 2 big S players on Knights, making it a 3-on-3, and Juicy can just hold down with the LMG. It's all onto Onigiri now, and there's just a world ahead of him. A mountain to climb. It ain't happening. Knights can lock in a 4-2 defensive half.
Perfect crossfires from the Knights, and perfectly making space, making use of the space that Elevate didn't attack there. So we saw a crossfire actually came out from that barrels breach because Elevate hadn't taken that space yet. So well played from the Knights. Even though it took a little while for them to key into what attack Elevate were doing, the micro battle eventually winning out on the back of Juicy's impact grenades. And yes, just the perfect crossfire for that flood that Elevate had to go for in the late game was just so well played from the Knights.
Also, you got to give credit where it's due. Those impact tricks, you called that out really early on. Their impacts on Juicy. And when Elevate only brings a single hard breacher, and it's Thermite with only 2 exothermics, as soon as you land those impacts, you really, this bomb site, it's kind of impenetrable. When you have all of those external walls solid, it's really hard to funnel.
Now it's Elevate's turn actually to play this particular bomb site. See what approach they are going to go for it. An extended roam we see at the top here into Cache 1 reinforce up with a line of sight as well. So it would indicate that maybe they're also trying to play into the idea that this top dragon balcony is a power position as well, trying to deny the entry from the Knights. A rotate also going into initiation too. So plenty of setup upstairs here for Elevate. The Knights, if they want to make use of that sledge and get vertical control, they will have to clear these roamers.
Knights not bringing the Jackal like we saw quite a few times from Elevate. It was either Jackal or Dockerby picked in different rounds from Elevate to try and assist with that roam clear. However, we do have something a bit peculiar that we didn't see Elevate bring. That's the Osa, or Osa, however we decide we want to say it. I heard that it was Osa, not Osa.
I'm going with Osa.
From a Croatian, so I feel like that's a pretty decent...
He's also a fellow observer. I think I have to go with...
Yeah, true.
Actually.
I mean, Medics is the GOAT, right?
The observer.
The observer. Not to discredit yourself and Cyno and Easy and all the other legends out there on the observer sticks, but here we go. That's the counter to the Osa, isn't it? The impacts.
But that's actually one wasted while Juicy is holding it in his hand. You don't want to waste those impacts because then when the shield does go down like this, now's the time you want to use the impact. And there we go. And a squeeze to follow up.
No.
And Onigiri Wolf finds that excellent team play kill onto Juicy.
I don't know if you were reading the script ahead of me or something, but you knew what was going to happen there, didn't you? You said it perfectly. Onigiri, though, fortunately for Knights, does not get away without a punishment. That doesn't really afford much control to Knights yet, as every single kill has been traded back. And this heavy roam presence at top dragon is still maintained by the defense. 3-on-3, and I mean, there's a lot of work to be done for Knights still.
Sage has actually just found some control into maintenance, so it would indicate that Knights, they will give up on this top floor control. Typically, when you clear through the top floor, it might indicate that you're looking for a yellow push, for example, but Sajon has now gone, okay, this is taking far too long. I'm just going to try and work the site instead. Now trying to look for those exothermic charges on the wall with no holes above. I think that being said, Mark has started to make holes to impact trick this wall. Will he find it? Okay, no mind, Mark has fallen back here. But yeah, Sage can actually get this wall open if Elevate aren't keyed into it. There's actually no impacts here for Mark as well, so maintenance push could be on the cards here for Knights.
Using the impacts to counter the Osa, and not having any left to counter the Thermite. So this is nice for Knights. They have a breach onto this main wall in maintenance, onto that bomb site. But that doesn't mean job done just yet. Mr. Punch is in such a power position. It's going to be so difficult for Knights to clear him out.
Uh-oh, C4 from DCH might find the mark, but Quiz, he will stay alive. But only 25 seconds left for the Knights. Even though they had that vertical control, they can't make use of it. Not enough time. And Quiz goes down.
Tick-tock. Knights. Got to get a move on. Elevate can just hold down the line as Knights are forced to funnel. What a great flash, though, from Sage. The crossfire is there, and it's an easy mop-up for Elevate. Poor Quiz. Look at that placement of the welcome mat. Not a very warm welcome to Quiz, and a good start to Elevate's defense.
Ooh, that was a bit of a spicy round there. Lots of the utility battle went back and forth between the teams, even the trades going back and forth in their early round as well. A good attempt there from the Knights to try and clear through that top floor. Eventually, they were given up that top floor and they could play that vertical, but that's such a trap because they only had 30 seconds left and they had to rotate their entries down to the breach that Sage had opened. So just not enough time there for the Knights, and eventually Elevate able to play some power positions, no drones in the site, and clean up for that round. Now they will attempt this top floor bomb site as well. Elevate also seems to be favoring into this bunks defense rather than the initiation defense. I always wonder why. If you're a pro out there and you have an opinion on why this bomb site is the better one of the two, please let me know because I'm very interested.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's just ranked, but I feel like in ranked you almost see them interchangeably. And it's hard to say. If Mirror is in, I feel like you do see that initiation one a lot more because people do put the mirrors in initiation. They also put them in office typically, and while that office one can be cleared vertically, people seem to really like doing that. But, you know, nonetheless, I guess it's just a bit of a throwback. People always have loved this bunks dorms defense. Wasn't it? It was the default. We were talking about old theme park earlier today.
Yeah,
this was like the default on old theme park,
I think
right?
so, yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't know. I don't know why I'm struggling to remember much about old theme park. It's been so long.
So different.
Maybe I repressed those memories as well.
Yeah.
You know, if you remember what old theme park was like, you may have elected to do that.
Anyway, now Elevate electing to go to bunks and dorms, but actually playing quite a different setup to what the Knights did. They have a shield facing Cafe double this time, so keying into the idea that Knights may start to clear from the Drog and Cafe side of the map instead, and that seems to be coming to fruition here. We do see Quiz starting to enter into Drog with that sledge and with those 2 grenades from below.
You're starting to see from the Knights the effects of these role changes that Quiz had mentioned. Good opening pick from Josh. In fact, he was the player I was going to call out. And, I mean, I don't like doing this, but I was going to point out that he's died every round so far, and he is the bottom fragger on his team, which is quite unusual. Josh has always been known as a really good player. If you remember, there was a Twitter drama a while back where someone was convinced he was cheating. He's not, by the way. And he's finally got another entry kill. I don't know whether he's on less of an entry position now or what, but it feels like Stiggs has certainly stepped up more onto the front line compared to his backline position he seemed to be on at the start of APAC South. But nonetheless, it's a good start and another opening pick for Knights.
The Knights actually taking quite a different approach from Elevate into the map. Rather than going for a sweep across the map, they're going to clear just one side of the map, but clear both of the floors together. So we see all the Knights players committing to this bottom floor take. First get your entries and get your nades in, and then now we'll get plays into cash as well. So the Knights looking for a more direct approach into the bomb side. Quiz and Juicy now stuck on the ground floor, with Mark actually contesting these arcade stairs, so we'll have to be careful around that choke point of the map.
This position that Sapper is playing on site as well is so powerful. But speaking of powerful, that's a nice spray. Wow, the trade does manage to land from Quiz. He might not know it yet, but he did get the down. He seems convinced because he's no longer worried about the angle. Oh, he gets a double. Double for your trouble. A lot of bang for your buck there for Quiz. And now with 40 seconds left, there is so much time for Knights to clean up the final 2 Elevate players.
Oh, DCH, he is looking for the yellow stairs player, but when a 1 versus 4, it looks pretty impossible here for Sapper.
Flank going down from Quiz, and another great round from him, I might add. Sapper's been pretty good this game, but it's a tall order. No C4, electing to bring the bulletproof camera. Stiggs to close it out. The Knights looking really, really good.
I actually haven't seen an approach like that on Theme Park yet, maybe because we haven't watched any of it in South yet.
Sadly.
But I do enjoy seeing those direct attacks, those nades from below. We didn't really get to catch it in the POVs, but they did a lot of damage onto those Elevate players. A lot of them, by the time that the execute did happen, that flood up the arcade stairs, they were already very low going into those gunfights. So the Knights making use of the space that they were given from Elevate. They weren't playing any vertical extensions and able to find those picks and put a big dent into the health of all those defensive players, and that flood worked out perfectly for them later on.
A lot of really good individual decision making and good timings as well. Even just the fact that the opening was actually, I mean, aside from Josh finding that really early kill onto Onigiri, the opening of kind of that end round exchange was Elevate, was Mark pushing down the stairs and finding one kill. He was traded back, and then the way that Quiz baited that to get the smoke as well, I mean, credit to him for landing those shots, especially with that long-range 2.5x scope in the close-range engagement while obstructed his vision from the smoke. That was really impressive, and good individual players like that can really make the round, and these rounds have been strung together. That's 5 now for Knights. 1 more round, and they have match point.
The Knights showing us why they took a gamble on this map and are taking us to Theme Park here. They definitely know how to play the game, and they definitely know how to take a very unique approach to this map that we haven't seen any other teams do yet. Now Elevate, they will reattempt this bunks and dorms bomb site, and the Knights shaping up for the same attack, but this time we do have some roamers starting on the ground floor. Oh, unless the silhouettes have deceived me again. I thought that was someone starting on the arcade stairs, but never mind.
The silhouettes are dogging you again, man.
They've dogged me again. Elevate, they're not contesting this ground floor roam. I changed my point, and Knights now able to get this control for free once again.
The one thing that has changed in the Elevate lineup is the Echo. Sapper is off the mutant onto the Echo. I wonder whether this is like, are they going to try plant deny? Are they going to try and use them aggressively? I can't imagine what Elevate have in mind to deal with this vertical play and the grenades from below, because as you mentioned, that's something that worked seemingly really well for Knights last round.
Styx now looking to get control of Cafe while the rest of his teammates drone out the ground floor and send their nades flying into the ceiling. So the Knights preparing for the exact same attack once again. Quiz and Juicy, Quiz and Josh, they will have to be careful of flanks coming down from any of the staircases. So we can see Josh has just gotten on drones. Maybe this is the role that Josh is on, actually, going back to one of your points. He doesn't seem to be on such an entry frag role anymore, but maybe something more like a flex role, right? Like looking to set up those flanks, making sure that his teammates are safe to do what they need to do and enable them to do what they need to do. So we can see here again the Knights re-attempting this arcade stairs push while Josh is sitting there on the flank drones.
Oh, nade over the top. It does get the Yokai drone. That's a pretty big haul. And the fire as well from the Capitao. And now the push up the stairs. One player down. And the gas comes through as well. Juicy trying to get this trade on back. Elevate have managed to handle this really well, but not for much longer. Look at that from Stigs. He's managed to break double digits and then push up. Turn it to 11 as well. In what could be the final round before match point, Knights find themselves in a 3-on-3. They managed to get that man advantage back as well. Sage finding Onigiri on the long angle.
There we go.
From the break rappel that you mentioned.
Reloading.
2 versus 3 now for Elevate, and only 24 seconds left to go, and no Yokai drones for Sapper. Guns up.
Oh,
here for
DCH!
Elevate. DCH does find 2, and now 1 versus 2 for Stage, but DCH to find the final pick of the round. Gun up on that break room rappel, and will find the round for Elevate.
LMG meta, mate. That's what it's all about. You just keep on spraying. You never have to reload. And he knows exactly where to look. A great clutch up from DCH. You got to say it. Knights looked to be really, really strong in that round. Elevate weren't half bad, but then Knights managed to really, really fight back, get that 3 versus 2 with tons of information. We saw that drone come out, fully see where DCH was playing in that corner, but sometimes the information isn't enough. If you know where the Maestro is with that Aldar with 81 bullets, doesn't mean you're going to be able to kill him.
Absolutely not. DCH just way too good and too sharp in that late game where Knights, they had to flood, running out of time. But I really want to credit the Knights in that round. They made use of everything that they could have. They had the ranged hard breach that we switched onto. We didn't see Elevate do that when they were on the attacking half. That ranged hard breach meant they could get a long line of sight, start cutting that attack in half. But unfortunately, just falling apart in that late round there, the Knights still looking, they do look like they're informed. They do look like they have the right idea, but just not able to string the end of the round together there. Elevate, they'll now have to switch bomb sites, having won the previous one, onto this initiation instead. The defense is actually quite different here for Elevate as well. They are playing a rotate into control, which I don't think is something that we saw Knights do when they did this. They're also opening up half of the office wall as well, facing into cash. Much more aggressive than the Knights defense, with a long line of sight into the hallway too. So Elevate, they're keying more into those long lines of sight. Is that Onigiri going for a spawn peek? Oh, okay, he's made it back in the Oh, that was a bit scary.
Those cash bulk runouts are just classic spawn peaks, aren't they? Terrifying. And I mean, Onigiri, he loves spawn peeking. He loves this DMR as well on the Aruni. It's the first time he has, he's played it 3 times now in a row in this game. And every time you see it, you're a little bit worried that he's going to manage to land a couple of 2Ks. We've seen it many times before. And it looks like Knights are going to go for this cash attack. So they're going to go direct hit, just like we've talked about.
Yeah.
It seems to be their preference on this map, not try and be too ambitious with their map control.
But if they go direct here, it really is playing into the defense that Elevate have set up here. Lots of aggressive lines of sight, but a little bit too aggressive from Sapper means that he's lost his life in control. So Knights, they will reconvene over on this cash side again and try and make this push back. But what we saw in the top down was so many angles that are open for Onigiri's 1.5x. Now even Mr. Punch has actually got the FMG9 on the smoke as well. So the Knights, if they come into this side of the map, they're going to be met by really long crossfires that they might not have droned out so far ahead.
That's why that information is going to be pivotal. The Flores can help with that, as can the Osa. Both actually not too shabby when it comes to getting information. Oh, in goes the Rotero and does manage to destroy that shield. Mr. Punch now feeling a little bit naked. Also got a little breach on his wall from the Hibana as well, so he's forced back.
The Knights making some excellent progress with the use of the Ossa coming through control now. We'll have to see whether they can replicate this much control onto the office side as well to shape up for what their execute might be. So yeah, the Knights, they have lots of options here. 2 Ossa shields are actually posted up on these long angles. So this defensive setup is being used against Elevate right now with these Ossa shields.
I really like that. However, Juicy has taken a lot of damage from that gas babe, so well played from Mr. Punch. 5v4 might not be enough for Knights to get this execute across the line.
DCH seems very ready for this control push coming out from the Knights. 3 players stacked over on this side, but we saw what happened when 3 players tried to funnel into DCH's Elder.
Oh, DCH, not again. He's prone in the corner, but Mark goes down. A 2-man advantage now for the Knights as they know exactly where DCH is playing, but they have to get rid of him. He is the pivotal player to step up, but no, he goes down. It's now Onigiri in a 1 versus 4. He gets 1 player down, 3 more to find, but Stigs can certify match point for the Knights here on Theme Park.
Oh, the Knights, that was looking a little spicy there in the late round. I was very worried that they would fall to the same fate of DCH's Elder, but eventually they were able to play the trades into the bomb site using the rotate that the defense had made against them to eventually make their way into the site. So the Knights, I just want to credit the Ossa. I really feel like that made a big opening for the Knights. Elevate, they were no longer able to just stand there and watch a line of sight. They had to jiggle it. They can't just contest those Ossa shields like that, especially with no impact grenades on the lineup as well. So the Knights, what an excellent adaptation into that push.
Makes you a bit scared now for Elevate. It was a gamble from them to go back, well, go to Office and Initiation, which they hadn't tried yet on the defense, instead of going back to Throne Room, which they previously won. Gamble didn't work out. They go back to Throne Room this round, but no more allowances for mistakes, right?
No.
They've won Throne, they've won Bunk. Bunk's only on the 2nd try. That's locked right now. So they're going to go back to Throne, they've got to win this, and then they're probably going to go back to Bunk and see if they can give that a crack and push overtime. But, no, I could see Elevate getting maybe 1 more round here, but it does feel like over the whole, holistically, looking at this map so far, Knights have been really, really good.
The Knights meeting their quota on the attack as well as the defense. Elevate, they didn't look as sharp, and they didn't seem to have such a well thought out process and approach to the map as Knights seem to have on this particular map. So I'm really backing in Knights here to try and have a game plan going into this Armory bomb site. This is quite defender sided. It is very tricky to make your way into that bomb site, particularly in the late round. So Knights, they will have to make hasty work and much quicker work than they did the previous attack attempt that they made on this bomb site.
Bit of a roam never hurt anyone, says Elevate. I'm not sure if they're doing the exact same setup with the top dragon. That's what they tended to do before. There you go. So the same shield, the same Wamai. Mark's got his impacts, 4 impacts in total. So I think that Elevate have really felt the presence of that Ossa and they want to make sure they've got adequate counters. Funny enough, in this round, we actually don't have the Ossa making an appearance. Juicy's on the Thermite. Josh is now on the Dockerby, which I don't believe we've seen from him yet.
The Rotera drones now being sent in will clear that first shield on the top of the Dragon hallway now, so that's 1 power position cleared. Knights can start making their way into the building, but only a minute left to go, 2 minutes left to go, so a pretty slow entry here for the Knights. It's been quite tricky to get into the building, and the Elevate players now falling back a little further into that top floor, but they still do have long lines of sight to play to contest this cache and the control room.
So that may dictate how successful this roam clear is, whether those players on Elevate and Office and Initiation can find something, or if they just delay enough time and fall back. That would be good. Good enough, perhaps, is Mark finding Josh. And a good early pick. A second one, too. Oh, no, it's fallen to pieces. He actually managed to sneak all the way into cash. I don't know how he managed that, but he is traded eventually. A 3v4 now for Knights. It looks like they probably can get a breach here, but it's a bit sketchy. There's still, I believe, Sapper with impacts on the other side of the wall.
The Knights, they'll have to look for some kind of push here, but like you said, Sapper, this is the impact grenade lineup, and he doesn't even need it because Onigiri will take down Juicy from a long line of sight at the end of the hallway instead. Now Sage and Stiggs left with 43 seconds low to pick up what's pretty much an impossible round for them.
Certainly looks that way. Elevate can sit happy knowing that there's no potential for hard breach here thanks to taking down that thermite. A huge play from Onigiri, well worth his life. And now it's really just a matter of time. Knights desperately trying to find something. Sticks here on the Rotero. But Tim and Sage just going to have to ice up. Land some really nasty shots to win this one. That nade does not quite land. And Sapper can hold on. This is desperate. This is not going to net anything for the Knights as two players go on inside. Desperately sprinting in. Sapper finds the first and the second. And Elevate can push to maximum regulation. The scoreline is 6-5.
Once again, Elevate winning out on this ground floor bomb site. The roam actually working out beautifully for them. Although they had to forfeit that early entry denial positions that they were holding, they were just able to fall back, not even back to the bomb site, just a room backwards in the top floor and still deny some entry, clearing through that top floor space. Sledge, he couldn't make use of the floor to get any vertical into Armory. And in the end, Knights, the entry power wasn't strong enough for them in that particular round. They couldn't find those picks and eventually running out of time to get the wall open onto the ground floor in the bomb site. So Elevate, although they played a much more conservative roam this time, not giving away their life, they, able to win out that round. And the impact trick just works beautifully for them.
Now there's a shot for Elevate to go back to Bunk and Daycare, which they did win, but only on the second defense. Remember that the way that Knights like to play this, they go downstairs, they try some vertical nades, and then they push up from arcade stairs with some utility. We've seen that Capitao has actually been picked once again, and there's no Wamai on the board from Elevate. I thought maybe they would read into that strategy, bring the Wamai, maybe place some discs around to catch the Capitao's firebolts, but not so. And does mean potentially Knights could just reattempt that same strategy we've seen from them before.
Well, this time there is barbed wire on the arcade stairs, so there's at least something to try and deny this push-up. Also, Malusi Banshee on the yellow stairs for that push as well. So, Elevate, they seem to have some idea that this push might happen for the Knights. We'll see if Knights will repeat the same approach again, which it looks like they will. Quiz now starting to rappel up on this north side of the building to look for cash control, while Juicy and the rest of his teammates run over to reconvene with him.
It's surely going to be the same strategy again, more or less. And that means Elevate probably don't have to worry so much about cash and initiation and control. And you can see really it's only Onigiri playing on that side at the moment. He's even barricading off some of those doorways because he knows, look, realistically, no one from Knights is probably going to push this, perhaps not until the late round. So just barricade it up, then you don't have to worry about it. You'll get that sound cue if someone does push.
And we can also see this time they root off that entire side of the map too. All of control is reinforced and all of office is reinforced as well, going into that cache side. So Elevate, they seem to be much more keyed into this push that Knights are trying to do. But that Rotero drone will actually find this shield facing the cafe double door. So good progress here for the Knights clearing the utility.
Yeah, and that barbed wire that you mentioned on the arcade stairs is gone as well. So, I mean, Knights may be telegraphing their push. They may have done this push twice before, but I think they're pretty well set up for it. They've got a lot of good positions. Sage is once again on this break repel with that long-range hard breach that you mentioned to give himself a line of sight. Don't know if that line of sight's been opened as of yet. I don't believe it has. Oh, it has. There you go. So, I mean, this is just... There's a lot going for Knights here, isn't there?
Well, there's a lot going for Knights, but I do want to say that Elevate, they have much more forward anchor positions this time. They have someone directly sitting in the bomb site, someone sitting on this balcony as well, but Sage is able to find that entry pick. DCH will trade back on Sage though, with a run out actually from that break room repel, so they will have to replace an attacker there as well. But oh no!
What?
DCH, you can't just run into a Claymore on the ground that's right in front of you.
I mean, he shot a Claymore. Were there two?
I think so, because you get two now.
Oh, he put two on the same window to prevent the... I mean, otherwise you could jump out and shoot the Claymore. Oh, wow. Okay, that's something. That is something you don't see every day. And now Knights, on the match point, with man advantage, have a chance.
3-on-4 now for Elevate, but they will be keyed into this arcade stairs push as that goo mine goes off for Quiz. Met like Mr. Punch's 1.5x on the FMG9. He will find that pick with only 20 seconds left to go for the plant.
That's a serious cop in the jaw for Knights now, who will, on the 3v3, desperately try and get this game across the line. Otherwise, Elevate will push OT, and it might happen. Not if Josh has anything to say about it, but Mr. Punch is the man of the hour. Still a gas babe in tow, and he's found 2 kills now to bring his team back into it. There's Sapper, sticks a 1v1, but Sapper to push into overtime.
Elevate, they were just much more keyed into the push that Knights were going to do. This time, they completely forfeited the other side of the map. They reinforced it all off, barricaded it all off. Instead, we'll put our anchors there to watch the yellow stairs push. This time, we'll watch that break repel so we don't get cut off from it. And DCH even to jump out of the window. Elevate, they were just completely aware of what the Knights were able to do, and even though they played the trade so well, Knights going into that late game, eventually not able to win it out. Sapper, he's just too good of an anchor. We've seen it time and time again. He's so good on that SMG-11, and those goo mines actually really worked out for him on the arcade stairs as well.
Many bombs as they can.
Yeah, really good stuff from Elevate to push back. Knights have had 2 match points and unable to lock either of them, especially considering this is Knights' map pick. And the next map is Oregon, which is just such a prolific, almost infamous map for Elevate. Historically, their favorite for such a long time. It really does make you think, Knights, the pressure is on here. Don't let it slip. It was within your grasp, especially when we're seeing, I gotta say, one of the best performances I have seen from Styx in a very long time. He didn't start this season that hot. He seemed to be struggling. I think he just wasn't quite sure how he fitted onto this roster in his old role, but now that he's allowed to play a little bit more aggressive, he's loving it. Look at that +9 KD, 15 kills, 6 deaths in this one map.
And looking for a spawn peak.
I mean, let him have it, to be honest. Like, if I'm any of his teammates right now, I'm like, mate, whatever you think is going to work, you go and do, because I trust you. Implicitly.
Stigs, we're giving a lot of credit here, has brought Knights to such a strong, I guess, such a lead in this map until it was given away by Elevate. But yeah, he was just performing so well. Even Quiz has been doing well in this game, so lots of Knights players showing up today. But something I want to circle back to, like we talked about earlier, is that the Knights, they don't seem to have that deep of a strat book into this map. Something that we saw on that attack was that they did it so many times over and over again that Elevate, they were eventually able to adapt to that kind of push and win out 2 defense rounds right at the end there. So I just feel like the Knights, they're not that adaptable in this particular match. They're not changing it up, and they're not bringing something unexpected. Elevate now are starting to announce their push onto the top floor, trying to clear out some of these roamers. Sapo's actually made his way all the way into the vending machine in Yellow Hallway.
Knights do find the opener. It's Ayana going down, a big player for Elevate. He's been stepping up, and he's now out of the game as the roam clear persists, but hasn't netted much success so far. There's a lot of drones up, but those drones will find it hard to do their job when there's that vigil on the defensive side. Stiggs, he might be playing on site, but I mean, how is Elevate to know that? He can still use his disruptor and confuse those drones.
Stiggs playing a very strong roam there. He was able to find the pick in bunks, and because the barrel hatch was open, able to fall back and make a rotate into the site. I actually think that rotate might be reared off back into the site as well. So one way, oh no, never mind, that rotate actually still stands there for the Knights as well. So Elevate now, they can start to make use of this vertical gameplay on a Geary, on the Buck. Will begin to flush out this, is this the armory side? I always get it wrong. Yes, this is the armory side of the map. Oh,
Me
God.
too. I guess I never thought about that, but yeah, I mean, throne.
On
right?
the other side, the big throne. Yes. Yes. I always get this wrong when I call it out to my friends in a ranked game.
Oh, and that would be tilting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But now, because this vertical gameplay is coming into play for Elevate, all the Knights players have had to rotate over to Throne Room. This is the part of the bomb site that is not vertical at all. Like, all of the floor is hard, so there's no way that they can clear it. And there's one blind spot to the vertical, which is what Sage is playing in at the moment. So Knights, they are aware that this is happening, and they're not giving their life away.
Yeah, and you know what they are giving away? Time. I mean, it's just disappearing. A breach, though, on the yellow wall could be big, but as you mentioned, in the corner, invisible to the vertical game, playing Furnace. Who is that in the corner? Sage,
oh, no.
But he loses to Splits. This has got to be Knights. They've got to make sure to not let Elevate get their first match point of the map. 3v2, that diffuser nearly goes down. And now Knights managing the retake to recompose. A big final round we're going to have here surely as Knights find themselves with another match point and their third opportunity to go one up in the series.
The Knights, they knew what they had to do to not give their life away in the mid-round. They knew, Elevate, they're running out of time, guys. Let's not start to peek them. Let's not try and challenge this vertical or do something silly like that. Let's just sit behind the throne where we know we're safe. Sage, let's just sit in Chimney where we know we're safe and wait for Elevate to eventually run into our line of sights. And Elevate not having enough time to get that diffuser down, and Knights able to mount the retake through that split hallway. The Knights just so much discipline on that anchor hold.
And it does feel like a running theme of these attacks, particularly from Elevate, is the speed. There is none. It's
Yes.
really slow. And so like 15 seconds try and execute into a 4v5, what have you. I mean, it's really challenging. And as you mentioned, that definitely comes down to the way Knights are playing it. Knights with a lot of restraint. And now Knights with the restraint that they've got match point, their third opportunity to close this map. And they actually take a tactical pause. It's really common for people to take tactical pauses when they're losing a streak of rounds. They want to get that momentum back on their side, break their opponent's streak. But Knights are actually doing the opposite. They said, look, we've had 2 shots at this already. We don't want to fluff up our third opportunity. We're going to lose this round. We will have another chance, but may as well just lock it in here. On the attack rather, they have to really think about how they're going to make this one work.
And like the point that you said about momentum, I just feel like there isn't that much momentum in this game. It's so back and forth.
Yeah.
Every round, we have no idea who the outcome is, what the outcome is going to be, who's going to win this round. So the Knights, they're saying, okay, we might not have momentum on our side. We might not be winning out every round so cleanly, but let's just recompose ourselves and get our heads in the game and try and win out this final rounds here on Theme Park, possible final rounds. Now going down to Armory and Throne Room once again for Elevate. They have been successful on this bomb site twice now. So the Knights, they have to change something up. And is that a Monty pick that I see there from the Knights?
Yeah, I was wondering whether that's going to be a repick, because we do see a lot of repicks from Knights, but with just a couple seconds left to change operators, it looks like Juicy is the only one on his team to lock in his original operator pick, and that means Montaigne, Mr. Big French Shield Man, with hard breach, mind you, is going to make it into this round.
Interesting. We haven't seen Knights change up their push at all yet in this entire game, pretty much. They've run the same strategy every attack round, and they've run the same approach every defense round on all the sites they've played. So this is something different from the Knights, and I really want to see it work.
I really wonder what they're actually going to do with it, because it's one thing to have all these ingredients, right? You got a little bit of hard breach from Ace, you got a little bit from Monty, you got the Nook for nades and sneaky business, but where are they actually going to push with it? Because we've seen Elevate continually do this top floor, like top dragon shield hole with the Wamais and stuff. Is Knights going to address that head on or try and bypass it?
So it seemed like the Knights, they're going for more pinch roam clear onto this top floor. We have the Monty pushing from Cash side. Lots of attention will eventually be put to this Monty, I imagine. But Quiz is starting to go from the cafe side. So pinching out this top floor rather than going for a linear direct clear into these power positions that Elevate are holding. Now we can see these long lines of sight will work out for Mark because he has that 1.5x, but he is faced by that Monty. So lots of attention now being turned to this side of the map. And Quiz, I think he's just crouch walked his way into the building.
I think you might be right here. This is a really nice little pincer maneuver from Knights. A big threat from the Cash balcony in the Montaigne, and a sneaky little dagger in the back of Quiz, the Nook player, trying to sneak in through Cafe, and it looks like Elevate have actually peeled back significantly. Juicy is alone on this roam clear, essentially, and he's hunting down this player that has now, I believe, almost dropped this hatch in bunks.
Oh, no.
What a
Nitro
C4!
Cell. Wow. That was good pre-place from DCH. I think we heard it through the floor a few seconds earlier, and that means that Mr. Punch is actually safe here on this top floor for now. The rest of the Knights, they will have to start moving into this top floor if they want that roam clear, but only 1 minute left to go, and Onigiri, he finds the sneaky player of Quiz on the Nook as well.
Wow, the two things that Knights thought they had going for them, the two little cheeky repicks, the two little extra ideas that they flirted with, did not work out, and now it's just getting from bad to worse for the Knights as Elevate have recomposed. Even a shot through the floor for DCH. A 1 versus 4 for poor Josh. And that is probably, Mandy, the most dominant round we have seen so far. What a mid-round adaptation from Elevate.
Oh dear, Elevate. Although Knights had changed their approach for the first time in this entire game, which is quite exciting for us here on the desk, Elevate, they just knew exactly how to deal with it. TCH opening up that round with the Nitro Cell really meant that there was more room given to those defenders on that top floor looking for that roam. They could stick around for longer, look for more picks. Onigiri eventually able to retake up through the arcade stairs and find Quiz on that side of the map as well. Knights, oh no, I really wanted to see that work, and I'm actually kind of devastated that that multiplay didn't work for them on the roam clear.
I'm equally devastated because it seemed like such a cool idea, but at the same time, you got to give equal credit to Elevate. The way that they played that, I mean, they had no clue there was going to be a Monty, right? Like, from their perspective, it's been the same thing every round by Knights, and yet Elevate mid-round, you know, the roamers up top saying, oh no, there's a Monty on me, and the guys on the side saying, pull back, you know, bait him into this position, I'll C4 him, just call when he's there, and it worked perfectly. And that is definitely, after Knights' tactical pause, and now 3 opportunities gone begging for match point, the first chance for Elevate to close this map, it really feels like that momentum is on their side.
Absolutely. The Knights now having to reattempt into bunks and dorms. Actually, is that initiation? Initiation and office. Oh gosh. I'm really being played up with these bomb sites here on the top floor, aren't I, on this theme park? But anyway, the Knights, again, not changing their strategy, still using that top dragon balcony as a power position, trying to deny the entry. Elevate, though, will they change their attack? Will they not flip-flop, for example, on their attack and actually commit to an idea? Because that's definitely what's been working for them in this game. We can see most of the Elevate players actually starting to spawn over on the cafe side of the building, while one of them is probing from the cache side. So Elevate looking for a sort of pinch clear into this top floor here.
And how is it going to work out? It's been a long map, and this is the final round. And on Knights' map pick, there is no doubt the pressure lies squarely on their shoulders. An elimination match both of these teams find themselves in, a position neither one wanted. Elevate lost in the upper bracket, and as a result have to fight it out down here. But Knights have had weeks to prepare for this game. They don't want to let another shot at a major go begging, not after they were unable to attend Mexico last year.
The Knights looking to return their form to the international stage, especially after such a strong stage 1 that they had. I really feel over the stage we saw this roster come into fruition. They became so much stronger the more time that they were given to I guess, become friends and build up that teamwork that they had in the roster. So Knights, we're really looking forward to see if they can make it to this major. Now Elevate looking to start clearing this map. Quiz still sitting pretty on the top of the Dragon balcony, but it seems like Elevate has rotated all of their players over onto the other side of the map. And the Knights, they don't have too many players on the other side to contest for it, actually.
I feel like if you're Knights right now, you're sitting in your position on this defense thinking, what's happening? Like, it's been 2 minutes, and I don't feel like I've seen that much yet. You know, a Twitch drone here or there, but where has the actual push come from? And while there is a decent amount of map control for Elevate, their proper execute push is not fully telegraphed. But here comes DCH up the stairs on Dragon.
DCH and Mark trying to pinch out this top Dragon position. Is Quiz aware? He seems to be backing out now, but DCH takes the swing and finds the kill onto Quiz. That's the first pick of this round going in the way of Elevate, but is actually traded back by Stiggs, who will now fall off into bathroom. Only 30 seconds left to go, and they'll have to, I guess, flood and pinch onto this site.
Oh, Onigiri with the DMR. Now it's just Josh and Stiggs. He pops the 20 bomb, but it is simply not enough. After 4 attempted match points, Knights stumble, capitulate at the final hurdle, and Elevate run away with their map pick.
Elevate eventually able to find out the final attack, the critical attack of that match. In that overtime, both teams won out on their defense, and so Elevate, that was the perfect time to come up with something new, try and make your way through the ground floor and eventually pinching out onto that Dragon power position. Wow, Elevate, that was just something so different there in that last round, and Knights, they weren't ready.
We might not have seen Theme Park and APAC South as of yet, but that was a match to remember between these two APAC South teams. Of course, it is just map 1, but Elevate winning Knights' map pick, we can't understate the value in that for this Thai team with so much hype behind it, eager to make it back to an international event. The Knights will have to do everything they can to reverse sweep, and it's going to be a tall task ahead of them. Elevate 1-0 in the series, and we'll be back after a short break.